This tutorial we're going to be making a playing card, or like a Pokemon card on Affinity Design. If the first time you've loaded up Affinity Design, you have this screen over here. You have these two tutorial lessons that you can complete. But we're going to start a new template. We are going to go to this button over here. We're going to press New. And it's going to bring us to this screen over here. My template is ready to use the laser cutter, which we'll use later on in the term. But for now, let's just go to Print. And let's just press A4. And it's just going to have an A4 little screen over here. And we could change our dimensions here if we want to change the size of our what we're drawing on. But let's just leave it as A4 for now. And we'll just press Create. And it should let us up with this screen. Now, if you load up Affinity Design and you've done the tutorials, it might not have that screen there. You might be left with a blank screen, but with still these borders around the outside. If that's the case, you go to File and you press New. And you're presented with this same screen. You might also do your work and you might lose, right now we're in what's called the studio, and you might lose some of these things, right? You might, what's the button? I'm just trying to think of what it looks like on my computer, studio. So you might press a button and now you lose this thing on the left here, which is going to have all our information, or you might lose this thing on the right. View. You might have a screen like this where you might lose that information on the left and right, which we need for our tutorials. How we bring that back is if you go to View, and I think it's similar on Macs. If you go to View, you want to, Windows, you want to see the word that says Studio. And for that, I like to press the Reset Studio button. And then Windows, Studio, and unclick the Hide Studio button. And that should bring this over here. And for the tools, we're going to press View, and we want to press Show Tools, and it should have these tools on the side. That's how we're going to get our drawing stuff ready. If we're going to do a Pokemon card, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the rectangle for the outside border. Now, I'm just measuring mine with my eyes, and it looks like it's about 65 millimeters by 90 millimeters. I could go a bit more accurately, by 88 millimeters. I want to make a rectangle, so I'm going to press the rectangle tool over here. I click the tool once, and then I click and drag across the page. I have my rectangle here, but the sizes are not correct, so I'm going to press the Move tool, which is in the top left. I'm going to click this rectangle, and that allows me to move this rectangle around. Notice here in the bottom right-hand corner, I can change the X and Y location of where my thing is, but also I can do my W and my H. What do you think W and H stands for? Width and height, yes. So there I can do the width of my Pokemon card. My Pokemon card is 63, and I can write 63 millimeters, and it does it. The format down here also works for centimeters, I believe. So it's 88 millimeters high. What's 88 millimeters in centimeters? 8.8. 8.8. And if you write centimeters, it does it. It automatically converts it. Not super useful because we can easily convert millimeters to centimeters, but it is useful if you go to a website and it gives you dimensions in inches. We can do that. It automatically converts it for you. It makes it just a bit easier. So this is my playing card over here. And this is going to be the background of my card. I need to insert the pictures. Just hold on, let me pause this for. So we're going to put a picture of Penny into this drawing, and that's this is the size of my Pokemon card. Let's go. How we're going to add pictures in. If you're going to find them online, you need to download the image by saving it as. When we put the image in, we're going to go to File and we're going to press Place. And then you have your images over here. We can actually press multiple images. And if we press Open, these 3 images over here in the Place folder, they're basically saying you've held these 3 pieces of paper. Where do you want these to go? So I'm going to click over here. I want this first image to go here. I want the second one to go here and the third one to go here. I'll pick which ones of these images I want. And then I don't need this anymore, I believe. I can drag this away. I don't need it. So I have my dog over here. So we have Penny over here. Now, these are images. I can click and drag them. Right, see how they're not connected. I can see which picture works best. Let's say I think this is going to be the best picture of Penny. Right? So that's Penny. That's clearly not a completed Pokemon card there, but that's something for us to work with. I can then grab the corners and I can click and drag them to make the size different. I can then do the same thing that I did before. I can change the width and the height of the photo. I believe you can crop the photo, but we don't need to do that yet. So we have Penny. Penny's going to be the basis of the Pokemon card. Next thing I need to do is I need to make a border. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete, I don't want these other photos. So I'm just going to click them and press the delete and the delete button. I don't need, this is the picture I want for Penny. So in this document, there are 2 things right now. There is this, that's the card, or the size of the card we want, and this is the picture of Penny. If you look at your Pokemon card in front of you, you have some sort of image in the middle, right, of whatever your Pokemon is, but then you also have like a border around the outside, and you have words at the top, and you have some sort of text underneath the picture. So let's start by, we're going to build this. We're going to start by doing the border around the outside. So we want to like put these things on top of each other. Notice here how Penny is on top of this rectangle. If I wanted to make the rectangle on top, I can right click the rectangle and I can go to Arrange and I can move it to the front, which means now the border, the outline is in front of Penny. What we can also do is we're going to make what's called a layer. And what the layer does is it means it's like another sheet of paper on top of our card. So it's not going to affect anything beneath it, which is going to be useful when we start rubbing and start like making holes and stuff. So over here on the right, this little block that has the plus next to it, it's near the recycle bin icon and should say add layer. We'll click that button. So now over here we have layer 1. I want to put this border on top of layer 1. I want to put this border on layer 1. So I'm going to click and I can drag that. So this is now in layer 1. Where this is useful is I can hide a whole layer. I can just hide everything on layer 1 so I can look at stuff underneath it. Okay, so I have Penny here. Cool. Now I want to make a hole in this particular... How do we do this? How do we make a hole in this rectangle? I have this rectangle here. Then I'm going to use the... So we need to make a border around here for our Pokemon card. We're going to use the contour tool, What the contour tool does is it follows a particular line and makes another line parallel with it. So it's perfect for these borders, right? It's because this border around the Pokemon card, that grey, is roughly the same thickness. It's like a perimeter, or it's like we're making a fence. Or think of a block of land, it's like the footpath. It's the same distance and it follows it. So we press the contour tool and we press that surface. Is that working? Hold on. Contour tool. Yes. Why aren't we working? Hold on. Geometry. Okay, yep. All right. So we're going to do the contour tool. We have our shape here, our rectangle. We press the contour tool, we click the rectangle, and over here in the corner, it says radius. This is where we pick how thick we want our border to be. Has anybody measured how thick the border is on the Pokemon card? How much is it, girls? How many millimeters? 3? Okay. So if I press 3 here, did that work? 3. So, but it's actually 3 millimeters going in, isn't it? So we actually want it to be -3. And then if I press enter, what did we do here? We did we made it. Contour. What am I doing wrong here? Let me just pause the tutorial. All right, so we're back. So we got our rectangle over here, and our rectangle has our round corners. We're then going to, now I think I did a bit of an oopsie when we did this dimensions. When I did this dimensions and we did the 3 millimeters, that's fine, but we measured from the outside. So what we're going to do here is where we have 63, we actually want to make it 6 millimeters smaller because we want to do the inside of the rectangle. So that will be 57. So if we do 57, it means we're going to get 3 millimeters on either side. So I'll do 57 for this, and we'll do 82 for this. And then when we make the radius 3, that's going to be larger. So that's going to be the size of our Pokemon card. Cool. Then what we're going to do is we need to give this object, we need to give it a color. So over here, this object over here is going to be defining our color. Now you can have it here in this top right-hand corner, but you also have it here in the bottom. And these symbols mean this one at the front, that's the whole circle, that's the fill color. So that's the color of the whole object. And I'll show you when I change it over here. See how it changes the whole color of the object? This one behind it, which is just the outside of the circle, that's the border. So if I click that, that is just going to be the border of our object. Now we can't really see because it's very thin right now, but let me show you. If I made this a thicker object, do you see how that's the border? If you change this outside one, you can change the color of the border of your object. We're not doing the border yet, so we're going to leave this particular one. We're going to leave the border to be colorless, and we'll make the stroke 0. So we have that rectangle. Let's say that's the color I want. I want that to be this color. But if I drag this over Penny, right, we're going to have a bit of a problem because... Why are you transparent? You shouldn't be transparent. Oh, my opacity's up. What is happening here? Something has happened. I'm just going to make a new rectangle. Something has happened. Delete. I'll make a new rectangle, and this one, the dimensions for this rectangle, which we said before here, was 57, and that was 82. Yep, and then we put a border, a contour of 3 millimeters. All right, cool. That's the shape over there. This is going to be covering Penny, and now we can't see Penny, so it's not a very good border right now. So how we do this border? We will drag to the side for now. We'll click. We'll drag this shape over here. We're going to make another rectangle. And this rectangle we're going to make is we want this rectangle to be the size of the inside of our border. So this will be our 60, our 57 and 82. Right? And let's just so we can see it, there's the color there. So these two squares, right? If I have them like this, I want to cut out that red square, right? If that was a piece of paper, that's what our border would look like, and then Penny would be underneath it. So first things we're going to do, firstly we have to align these two together to make sure they're actually accurate. So we can click and drag. So we've selected both of these squares. We can tell because, it's hard for you to tell on the screen there, but you see how there's a blue line over here and a blue line? That means these two objects are selected. Maybe I'll show you in better detail if I did it like this. Let's say fairly inaccurate right now. I want to align these together. I drag my mouse over both of them. Do you see how there's a blue rectangle over both of them? Now to align them, I'm going to use this tool over here. This tool over here. It's about in the top middle of the screen. It's called the alignment tool. I press that and it opens up these many options. I'm going to align them both to the center and watch what happens to my two squares. All eyes on the board. When I press this center align button, watch what happens. Perfect. Right? That's aligning it horizontally. What do you think is going to happen when I press the align vertical button? It's going to go like this, right? So I press it and let's see. Ooh, mwah, perfect. That's what we want. Cool. Now I want to remove these two. So what I'm going to do is I want to remove the red from the middle. I'm going to drag over both of them. I have my two objects selected. I'm going to use these tools over here, the add, subtract. If you've done the tutorial, you would have experienced this one. We're going to press the subtract tool and watch what happens to the red. If my mind is correct, the red should disappear. Oh, cold. Yes, exactly. Now I can click and drag. Oh, there we go. We're slowly working on this Penny Pokemon card now. That's the border of Penny. Wonderful. We can then we'll do other stuff with it later, but I think we can. Can we click Penny? Can we crop Penny? We can do the same thing with Penny. So what we'll do is we'll hide our border for now. We can do the same thing with Penny, where we can make a rectangle and say, I only want to keep this part of my Penny. I only want to keep this part of my Penny picture. So then I will click these two. And I only want the parts that overlap. I want that red square and I want my Penny, so I press Int. Oh. Did that work? Well, that didn't work. Oh, maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't work for images. Okay, it's not working. Maybe you don't do it for images. What do we do? How do we crop? But I don't want to. I want to crop it because I don't want to change the ratio or the size that Penny is. But I forgot how to crop. Where is that? Point on the board? Oh, yes. Wonderful. Thank you. Oh, wonderful. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. You know how to use it. So we can do the vector crop tool to align the corners. Oh, okay. Cool. Let's go a bit larger. So that's going to be our Penny. And we've done the borders. Wonderful. I've also kept this part down the bottom because we'll add some text to there. So now we can start. What's next? What's the next thing our Pokemon card needs? A name. Yes, very good. A name. And the name, we just don't write the text. So before we do that, let's start a new layer. New layer up the top. We'll make this one, and we can even call this. So let's call this layer. We'll double tap there. We'll call this the name. And this name banner, we can make, let's make the rounded rectangle tool. We want it to be something like this over here. We'll change Penny, we'll move Penny further down later. But we're going to make, this is going to be our bar that our name is going to be seen in. And we want to use the gradient tool for this to make it look a bit more interesting. So we'll have this. Now where is this is the gradient tool. Oh. Okay. I've learned how to use the gradient tool. Let's show you how to do it. So I have this color. I picked my first color. I want my brown. When you do the gradient tool, you're going to pick a color that already exists, and you're going to pick a new color, and you're going to do a gradient between those two colors. And a gradient means like a transition from one color to another color. So let's say my first color I pick for Penny, I want it to be this color for the name badge. And so this is like on your supporter or Pokemon thing in the top of the card. See how the very top is like a light gray and the bottom is a darker gray? Where yours should say Pokemon, right? That's what we want to do for here. We want to make that as the background for we're going to write the name. So this will be the color I want to start with. I want to start with this color gray. And then I'm going to press the gradient tool. And to the gradient tool, firstly you're going to pick the direction where you want the gradient. I just want it to be up to down. But you can also pick sideways. And don't worry that it's red right now. We'll fix that color later. But you can pick maybe you want it to be an angled gradient. For mine, I just want it to be up and down like this. And then I want my, is that right? Yeah, I want it to be straightish. Yep. And then my color for the bottom gradient, I'm going to drag it. I want it to be a bit of a darker color. So there we go. So now we have a bit of a 3D-ness. That looks a bit better. And I'll press enter. And there we go. That's now the border for my name. And then I can also do the text. Text over here, artistic, what is it called? Artistic text tool. Click and drag, I say how big I want my text, and over here, and we just type it. Penny. You can do some options with the text. Where is the options for the text? Up here, you can change it to italicized. It's not as good as Google Chrome, sorry, Google Docs, where it like updates everything automatically. So you may have to, if I want it to be italicized, underlined. Can I do a board? I don't think I can do a background. Ooh. Penny. I don't want an underline, but I do want it, so I don't want an underline, but I do want a border. Penny. The Pokemon cards you have, they have black, but they also have a border. So let's see if we can do that as well. So I have my penny. I like the size of my penny over here. So I'm going to change the border. So remember how we said this with these two circles over here in the color wheel? The big one is the fill, so I'm okay with it being black. But what's the border? Excuse me. The Pokemon word, does it have a border around the letters? What is it? What's the border? It's a little bit of white, right? Okay, cool. So we'll go over here. That's called the stroke, and we want to make this stroke white. Over here. And, we see this, we're starting to see a bit of white there. We can then go to the stroke area over here, and we can change the thickness. There. That's too much white. There you go. Now that's starting to look a bit better. That's starting to look more like the card. Yeah, penny with a bit of white. Nice. As I put this border down, I realized that it's kind of overlapping with penny. So we're going to go to the penny picture and we're going to drag penny further down so it doesn't cover up penny's face. Cool, we have this. Next thing your cards have is you have the border, but you have the background of your Pokemon card. They're a bit stylish. This is where you can have a bit of fun. I'm going to make another layer, and this will be I'll call this layer main background. So this is the background. This background, I actually want to change this layer because right now I have my background above my name. If I make a background, which is going to be like the bulk of the card, right? If I make a background, right now it's above my name, it's above my border, it's above everything. So it's it's not ideal. What we can do is, I have background over here. I want the background to be below the name, right? I want it to be above. I want it to be above penny. There we go. So there, I want it to be below the border, but above the picture of penny. So we'll do this, and we'll do the same trick we did before, where we will, sorry, not that. Can we stop the gradient? We're going to make the two boxes again. And with these two boxes, we will select these two boxes and we'll do the subtract. Hey, look at that. Wow. It's starting to look like a Pokemon card, right? So then you're going to add your Pokemon moves to your Pokemon. Now, if you have a move, the moves has text, so you can add the text for the Pokemon moves. You have to like press the space bar down to do different lines, but you can also just make a new text box with it. Same with your Pokemon symbols. You are going to make your own symbol yourself for the Pokemon. If you're doing like a magic card, you've got to put your mana symbols. You're going to make that as a layer up the top for those colors. But that's it. You can continue doing that. Continue working with your Pokemon card.